I don't know what happened. Tachana said she was going to come back. So this is a Chabura. Chabura means I didn't do an intensive preparation for this. We're going through to begin with, I don't know how far we're going to get to it. There's something called Shmona Kvatzim of the Rav Kook, and there's individual paragraphs on various topics. We'll go paragraph by paragraph. And I'm inviting you to learn with me. It's like a chavuta with you. It's like not me being the teacher. We're learning together. Obviously, I'm going to read and translate. And but whatever comes up to you, that this is meant to be a chubua. So I'm going to share screen for people who's joining us at home. Okay. If you want me in the future, I can print out the paragraphs if you want it in front of you. It's Hebrew, it's not English. I don't even check if they have an English translation, but I don't like to work on translations. In any case, we'll do the translation. You understand? So you'll tell me after today if you actually want a printed copy of whatever paragraph we can do next week and following. If we need it, if we don't need it. But meanwhile, this is it. Let me just pin myself here. Let's see. It's Shmona Kvatzim. It's a collection of. It's a collection of thoughts. It's not essays. It's like short thoughts it's a collection that were strung together. I think by his son. I think by Rav Yudatzviko. I have to actually research who put together the Shmona Kvatzim. I'm pretty sure it's his son. Also, starting. Okay, fine. So let me do this. Share it. Now, the Rav Kook's Hebrew language is it's like you can't even compare it to, you know how difficult Shakespeare it is until you get used to Shakespeare. Like it's a whole different other English language. Like it's like what the heck is he saying? And like what's all of this language? So Rav Kook Zatzal, he's got an amazing poetic soul that brings everything in a poetic style. It makes it a hard nut to crack. You have to read it a few times. What's he actually saying? So this is an example of this. Okay, so I'm going to go slowly, and because the Hebrew is hard. The difference between purity and impurity, between impurity and that which is pure. Havdalah, separation, the difference. Havdalah ben hatameh v'tahor, biyachad, biyuchud, especially, b'mashu b'tziyur ruchani, to try to identify the essential difference between the pure and the impure. Biyuchud, especially, how they are formed in their spiritual essence. In other words, the beginnings of them, there is a spiritual root to everything. So what is the essential difference between them and their how you would draw them out, how they would play it themselves out in the tziyur of the tziyur ruchani, in their spiritual formation. B'metziut hamufshetet, in the abstracted reality. What is the difference between the pure and the impure? Tluyahi be'ofi hapnimi. That is dependent on, it's conditional upon be'ofen hapnimi, and what defines them. Be'ofen, how do you translate ofen? In the manner? Aspect. In the aspect, thank you. The internal aspect of them. Like getting into the kishkes, betachlis. Betachlis, what is the difference between them? Be'ofen hapnimi, in the innermost internality of their expression, of how they're formed. That from their foundation, mitgaleh, is revealed their ratzon hakavua, their will that is permanently defines them, that is at their permanence, right? What defines them? Hasholet b'chaim, that it controls the life, b'chaim, that controls that comes out, that shows up in real time in life. Is that what he's saying?
Let's hear it again.
שמיסודו מתגלה הרצון הקבוע השולט בחיים. Go translate that, right? Like that. So there's a difference between tameh and taho. At their foundation is an essential difference of how they revealed, how they're manifested, articulated in their spiritual formation of what brings forth the pure and that which brings forth the tameh, the impure. In the abstracted, I'm just all repeating, in the abstracted expression of what they are, in reality of what they are. And to understand that, to get to a definition of what is different between tameh and tahor, you have to go into the ofen hapnimi, the internal, what did you say, aspect of what they are. That at their foundation is revealed from their foundation of what the difference they are, what the foundation of each one of them is revealed. The ratzon, there's a will. Everything in existence has a will. A will means I want. The most primary will, this is just me talking, the most primary expression of will is how I want to show up in reality. This is my will. This is what I want manifested and articulated. It's who I essentially am. So at each one, the tameh and the taho has a will. I can't find. Someone's saying I can't find something. No. Okay. And at the base of the will, there's something controlling that will. Like, this is how I must, this is what I want to accomplish, to control, to imprint reality with what I am essentially. Okay, now we're going to continue. בין בידיעתו של נושא החיים, whether with the acknowledgement, whether it's with the yedi'ah, מה זה ידיעה?
Awareness.
With the awareness of the subject of the life. There's a tameh and a taho. These are very abstracted concepts, but they show up in real time in life. Whether they show up, whether these concepts of tameh and taho manifest themselves with an awareness of the subject that's going to carry through that tum'ah and tahara, or whether they're not aware. There's a koach, tum'ah, a life force. There's a koach of what it is to be tameh. There's a koach of tahor, and they take a ride on subjects that carry them, that pull through, right?
Yes, when we say the they, we're talking about the subject.
בין בידיעתו של נושא החיים, they want to, okay, let's go. I think it's good. Nose means like the subject of life. Maybe it's good to read through the whole paragraph, as difficult it is, and then go back and unpack, okay? So I'm going to read it in Hebrew and it's going to be difficult just to translate into English in a simple way, because how are you going to translate it? There's so many nuances. But okay, should I just read in Hebrew? שמיסודו מתגלה הרצון הקבוע השולט בחיים, בין בידיעתו של נושא החיים, ובמעשיו והשפעותיו הבחיריות והמוכוונות מצידו, בין שלא מידיעתו, ובמעשיו והשפעותיו הזולפות וזורמות מאוצר חייו, גם בלא ידיעתו וכוונתו. ומה שמגביל את הגבול בין הטוב והרע, בין הטמא והטהור, איננו כי אם בנוי על פי התכונה של אותו האופי הקבוע, שהוא עצמות הווייתו של הנושא, שכל משהו חוץ מזה איננו בו עצמיות, אלא עניין מתנודד ותואר נוסף, הפושט צורה ולובשה. כשאנו אומרים שנושא טמא, שהמהותיות העצמית שלו הוא רע, יונק הוא מהקודש והטוב, אנו מבינים שמצייר לו מושגים של הטוב, של הקודש, של הרוממות הנשגבה, ועל ידם מתעדרת מהותיותו, ויופיו מתגדל ומתענף. כוחות רצונו מתפשטים, בשליטתו והשפעותיו מתגברים, ומתוך שהעצמיות שלו הוא רע וטמא, הרי הוא בשיטתו העליונה, במעופו המתעלה, מכין כלי מוות להמון כוחות של הטוב והקודש, של התום והיושר, ומלחמת השם מתאזרת חיל לעמוד נגד מאורעות כאלה, שלא ינוח שבט הרשע גורל הצדיקים. Whoa, okay, that's the paragraph. Did you get anything from it? Yeah. Bekitzer, I'll tell you what it means to me, and then we'll go back to the words. There's kochot hatuma that are yonkim from kochot hakdusha. Kochot hatuma, how do they manifest? How do they show up in this world? They nourish sustenance from the realm of the tov. They take on a levush as if they are tov, but really underneath them, they're roa, they're ra. But you look at them, they're enticing. What makes them enticing? Why do we go for ra if it's ra? If we would know that they're ra, we would never go for them. Nobody in their right mind drinks cyanide when they know it's cyanide. They don't go for poison if they. That's why chocolate, not to bash chocolate. Chocolate is go for chocolate, but it's a euphemism. There's things that entice us through our senses because they say, but it's good. It's good. It tastes good. It feels good. It has a good hechsher on it. Go for it. But then, really, it's just a trap. It takes a levush of kashrus, but really, it's a sitra achrad. It's a tum'ah that's garbing itself with a levush of good, and then we go for it, and that's when now we got it. So that's how the realm of tum'ah operates, and our milchemet Hashem is to identify and not allow the forces of tum'ah to fool us, because it's just the chitzoni of the tov that's intended, but then when it traps us, it's really taking all of their koach from the tov. It's a superficial tov, and we have to we have to fight it. Milchemet Hashem calls it shelo yanuach shevet haresha, that the shevet, what's a shevet? It's a tribe, but it's like the staff of resha should not be on the upper hand of the goral tzadikim to take itself what should be the destiny, what should be the goral of the tzadikim, to appropriate those things that are meant for the tzadikim for itself. And we have to fight, we have to say no. We have to see through the resha and not be confused with what it takes upon itself that's not authentically self. So now, with that, you that much you can identify for, right? Now let's see how. Now, argue with me if you think I went off on a tangent here, but let's see it from the words of the this is what I got from it. Okay, let's go back. The difference between that which is pure now and that which is impure. Especially how they are, what their form is in the ruchnius realms. What their form is in the abstracted way. In the abstracted reality of things. When something is in the abstract, it's very hard to have a grasp on. And so they have to have a levush, a physical levush in this world, so we can, let's say we say we love, but talk about love in the abstracted form. What's love? It's very hard for us to talk about love without a subject of our love. We can talk about a love when we think about our spouse or when we think about our children. It's very hard to speak about our love for something without bringing in something that we love in real time to be able to speak about love, right? So it's the same thing with tum'ah and tara in the abstracted form. What is it? So when we talk about tum'ah and tara, it has to have like a real-time expression that it attaches to in real time, live through experiences, and then we say that's tum'ah and that's tahara. When it's melubash in something, when it's garbed in something as well. So he's saying, Havdalah, the difference between Tameh and Tahor, Biychud b'mashu b'tziur ruchani, especially in their spiritual formations of things. B'metziut, in their abstracted, b'metziut hamufsheted, in the abstracted realm of things, just what's Tuma, Tameh, and Tahor in the abstract. Tluyahi be'ofi apnimi, it depends, it's conditional about their internal aspect. Shemi Yesodot, that at their formation, at their foundation, mitgaleh haratzon, at their foundation, mitgaleh haratzon. What they're about, what their ratzon is mitgaleh. But it's very sneaky because it's hiding within layers of something that they then clothe themselves that fools us. Right? שמיסודו מתגלה הרצון הקבוע השולט בחיים. That at their foundation, מתגלה הרצון, is revealed a רצון, a desire, a will, הקבוע. That's, מה זה קבוע? That's permanently, ultimately what wants to be expressed, that's at the foundation of this, hasholet b'chaim, that controls life. Okay. So let's say I fall in love with somebody. What's wrong with that? It's a beautiful thing to fall in love. It's tzorech nafshi bsisi. How do you translate that? It's a
basic human urge.
Thank you so much. I love when you're here. You help me so much. It's a basic human need, and this tzorech nafshi bsisi. Tzorech nafshi bsisi. Tzorech nefesh bsisi. A basic human need to fall in love. Now, what happens if you fall in love with somebody that's, the Torah says, it's not somebody you go for. She's already married to somebody else, for instance. Okay. You know, but let's say it's not as obvious as that, okay? But clearly it's not meant to be for X, Y, and Z. The basis of that desire, like at the superficial, it's the birds are chirping, your heart is soaring, you're writing amazing poems. It's like it's open, you're floating on that cloud nine. But at the basis of it, there's some element of Tumah that took on that levush to convince you. What is at the foundation of that ratzon for you to want something that clearly the Torah tells you not to, but confuses you and gives all kinds of arguments? In this situation, it's okay. It's deceptive. What's the ratzon there? So if it's from a non-kosher source, then the ratzon is just basic, not human need, but a
drive,
a bestial drive, because it's awakening up all the senses that want to be satisfied. I don't know if it's mentioned here or not. I don't know if that's what Rav Kook is saying, but I know the one I'm saying is correct. Like I'm not saying anything is correct. Whether it's what Rav Kook is saying is like, okay, let's see. There's a desire that wants to be satisfied, both from the tameh side and both from the tahor side. At the foundation of each one of these abstracted forms of kochot in this world, in the abstracted form, there's something that's being called to be satisfied. When you speak about ratzon, you speak about a lack that wants to be satisfied. That's why you want it. Whether it's with the awareness and whether it's with the awareness through the person that's living through this moment, or whether the person is not aware. There's something motivating underneath our urges, our desires for fulfillment is something fundamental that's rooted in like coming from a place of tameh and coming from the place of tahor. Bein b'yato shel nosei achayim, whether with the acknowledgement or knowledge or awareness of the person, someone who carries this life, ובמעשיו והשפעותיו הבחיריות המכוונות מצידו. What's going on? Oh, it's for you? Someone's okay. במעשיו, whether it's and it shows up במעשיו and the actions, והשפעותיו, the influences, הבחיריות of מה זה בחיריות? בחירה. Choices. המכוונות מצידו, that are intentionally like going towards this, by choice, I'm going towards this relationship, action, speech, thought, whatever it is, however it's showing up. בין שלא מידע, whether it's not so obvious that that's what's motivating him, her.
I was going to say, couldn't we say that about last week's parsha, about Korah?
We can say this about anything. It's a foundation about it. Yeah, what's motivating?
Yeah,
What's
pure, it was an impure
right.
deed.
But it's taking on the language is like, what's he saying? Sounds like such a good guy.
Yeah.
But underneath it, there's a seed that it's coming from, a place of tumah, the place of land, and that's the tricky thing to identify. And in the actions and the hashpa'ah, in influences, hazolfot, that are dripping, v'zormot, and flowing, from the treasury of his life, gam belo yediato v'kavanato, even without his awareness and his intentions. But if we're behind every action, behind every thought, behind any bechira, any choice, voluntary or involuntary, at the basis of it, we're motivated by a certain ratzon. Okay? A certain ratzon. And proper therapy is like, what's the kol pnimi? What's the really behind? What's the premise that you're functioning from? Sometimes it's very loose. It's very tricky to uncover. Right? Go ahead. Give an example.
My husband was finding this yesterday. The person where he davens, learns, wherever, who is very overweight. And he told my husband previously, I just was losing weight, whatever. I husband overheard him telling somebody about the Pesach program that he went to. He's a very wealthy person, and he was describing this very, very long table that from the entire thing was filled with fresh strawberries and cream.
Oh.
And he was describing it. It sounded like beautiful.
Gan Eden.
Right?
Yeah.
He told my husband before Pesach that he was going to take just some of his family, and it was on an island, at one of the Greek islands. It's so beauty.
And manifest this dream of this fantasy of strawberries and cream.
No, but the strawberries and cream is real. It's really there.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh.
After the fact, he was explaining to somebody some of the tables that were set up. But anyway, the original thing that he said was he just wonderful thing, he's going to take his family for Pesach. And really serious need to lose weight.
Yeah.
But he went on the program. He gained weight on the program. Do you hear what I'm saying?
No. Maybe I wasn't listening well enough.
Yes, he's taking his family is here. He's going to take his entire.
But really, it's
family.
gluttony at the bottom of it.
He's going for
the food, for the smorgasbord.
His real ratzon was
Because that's what he's sharing about the
But
experience.
he knew what this thing was going to be about, but it's all gluttony.
Okay.
It's really, let me do it.
Very good. So that's tameh.
But it
Right.
was, like, I'm gonna take my family.
Right,
take some
right,
daughters
right.
together.
And we
Exactly.
live this is really it defines a lot of our choices in life to have to identify, to put, to really to get to the self discussions with ourselves and discover what's really motivating me at this moment.
Because he was struggling to lose weight. He was
Right.
working himself back. But
Right.
the kids are got in there.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So let me see. ומשהו מגביל את הגבול בין and what delineates, what differentiates, מה שמגביל, מה זה מגביל? What limits, differentiates את הגבול, what differentiates the borderline between tov and ra, is bringing another ways of talking about tamen taho, what delineates, differentiates, what's the border between tov and ra, בין הטמא והטהור, איננו כי אם בנוי על פי התכונה של אותו האופי הקבוע, is none other, איננו כי, is none other, this line that separates tov and ra, טמא טהור, is none other, something that's built according to the inner quality of that same aspect that defines that tov and ra and tameh and tahor, the ofi hakavua. Translate ofi hakavua, the trait, the permanent character trait, the permanent character trait of the tov and ra or tameh and tahor, and that's the borderline. Ki im banui al pi hatchuna shel oto, and okay. Then there's a tchuna of ra. There's a tchuna. There's a trait that's clearly ra. There's a trait that's clearly tov. There's a trait that's clearly taman. There's clearly tahor. Except we're living in a time that eitz hadat tov ra is like there's a balagan there, and we have to define for ourselves what's tov and ra. And that could be an individual answer. There's no one size fits all for different individuals. That's just me speaking, right? What's good for you is like you might be able to have an extra piece of cake because of what you're going through in your life, and it's okay, and it's like, and it won't be considered extra for you. For me, it would be like from the realm of tuma. We don't know, right? So, but why you would have that same scenario? We're both having that extra bite of cake, right? Complete, but what would bring me to my extra piece and might bring me to you is like there's a clear line that would separate when I'm going from tov to ra or ra from tov, right? Or right? So על פי תכונה של אותו אופי שהוא עצמות הווייתו של הנושא. שהוא עצמות הווייתו של הנושא. What is that? שהוא עצמות, that is the essence of the existence of the person living this life. What's at the base of it? It's very hard in Hebrew. שכל מה שהוא חוץ מזה איננו בו עצמיותו. That everything that is outside of this is not part of the definition of what the ra is. We're defining ra, and we talk the difference between ra and tov and tameh and tahor. There's something that clearly defines what's ra and what's tov. If we learned Rav Ashlag, right? So what's ra? Ratzon atzmi. Ra is always selfishness. It's motivated by ego. Tov is defined by what when we have likeness of form to Hashem, by being a mashpia, when we step away from egotism to altruism, when we manage to say no to extras, to mutarot, when we manage to say no to something that the Torah clearly says no to, but it's a struggle for us because we haven't let go of that yet, and nonetheless we say no to it, that's tov. When we give in to the vulnerability of it, we've basically given over to the realm of ra. Whether we know it or we don't know it. And anything, so there's a kernel, there's a seed that's underneath every one of our choices. And then there's the consequences, or there's the outer layers of the consequences of giving into that kernel of seed. And what grows out of it it's irrelevant because really because what he's going to continue saying is that it could have a nice guard. This kernel of Ra likes to manifest itself or pretend or play dress up as if he's coming from a good place. But what really is at the kernel, at the seed of what's motivating? So here is where I'm getting what I'm saying. Anything outside of what defines Ra and Tov, let's go with Rav Ashlag's explanation of egotism versus altruism, okay? That everything outside of that egotism point or altruism that defines Ra and Tov is just mitnoded, is something, what's mitnoded?
Sways.
Sways and v'tor nosaf, it's extra superlatives, descriptive words around it. Haposhet tzora v'lovsha, sometimes it looks like this, sometimes it looks like that. It takes on a garment, removes a garment, takes out another levush. But really, underneath it, it doesn't matter if you're wearing this clothes or that clothes. Underneath it, you're the same, motivated by the same kernel of tzra'oto. When we say that somebody is within the subject line of tameh, that the essential essence of the thing is ra, and yet he receives sustenance from kodesh and tov, what that which is holy and that which is good. Because no one in their right mind would go after bad if they identify as bad. Nobody likes, even the Nazis, Imach Shmam, had to convince themselves that what they were doing was from a good place. Understand? They had to convince them the Jews were vermin and that it's a danger to the world and they're doing a service to the world. They had to convince themselves that they're not evil. And in that way, they're taking from lofty kedusha, abstracted ideas of good and tov. And then we understand from that the Ra, essentially Ra, just borrows terms, musagim, borrows terms from the realm of tov, shel hakodesh, of things that are sanctified, shel rememut haniskavad, which are elevated, lofty things, and from that they take on aderet is like a cloak. They cloak themselves. They're rotten mahut as essence, which is ra, but they guard themselves. It's really good. Like all these liberal ideas, all of this like protesting with Hamas. It's good. It's freedom. The Jews stole their land, and it's fair game. If your land would be if you would have your land stolen and denied rights, all of this type of thing, then it's freedom fighting. It's not terrorism, right? They take on language from the realm of Kedusha, but really it's just a cloak to allow themselves to pretend that really they're coming from a good place. And then it seems like their character mitgadel, expands and grows branches. And their power, their force of this will, really at the bottom of the line, it's like really ra, but they spread. How are they allowed to spread? Because they're wearing the cloak of Tushav, Tov, and Yefen. And their control and their hashpah, their influence gains momentum and mitgaber, gains strength. But because their essence, its essence is ra v'tameh, is really bad and evil. This is its shita. That's how it operates. This is its elevated shita that it has. What do you say shita? Method. How do you do that so fast?
Don't ask me because then I'll go into
No. It's good. Just keep with me. Just keep coming because I need you. And it's like me'ufo. It's with spreading its wings and like its flight, right? Hamitale, that keeps getting momentum and keeps growing higher. Mechin kli mavet. And in that way, we want to know how all the like pro-Palestinian Hamas seemingly lovers, they don't know what they're doing. because they're just falling into the trap of what he's explaining here. It's all a way of mechin kli mavet. It prepares kli mavet, tools of death, weapons of death, kochot shel hatov of mechin kli mavet lehamon kochot shel hatov v'akdusha. That's how they battle tov v'hakodesh. This is where he gets this is where the Ra and the Tameh gets its weapons to fight against the Tov and the Kodesh. By how? By wearing these, by wearing this aderet, this cloak of Tov and Kadosh, all these liberal sounding good, but Shel Hatom v'Yadosh, of innocence and correctness. V'milchemet Hashem, and the war of Hashem, the fight that we have to fight of Hashem, mitazeret chayil, girds itself with strength, with chayil, la'amod neged moraot kaele, to stand against such moraot, shelo yanuach shevet haresha al goral hatzadikim, that the staff of evil should not rest yanuach upon the fate of the tzaddikim, that they won't subjugate tzedek, tzidkut, tzaddikim, yosher, tov, and what's really tahor be'emet. That's what we're fighting against. We're fighting the illusion of ra and tov garbing itself in a very convincing way that they are right, and in this case, it's okay to have this very wrong relationship, this extra stuff that you really don't need with all the strawberry and cream to the extent that you're having it, etc., etc. Or all of these liberal, so many of our people are confused in America about the liberal sounding wholesome ideas of like the Jews just came and stole their land. And obviously they're going to be incensed and they're going to be lead to rape, because that's what you do. Because they're so oppressed. But if you want to understand their psychology of why so many people are falling in line, he just basically explained it. And Milchemet Hashem, the war of Hashem against it, is to really gird ourselves to these events, not to be confused, not to allow this evil design of how the Ra and the Tameh operates from gaining more control and deciding the fate of tzaddikim. That's the first paragraph, how the Shmona Kvatzim are. There's like 200, let me see. There's 260, this is, relatively speaking, this is a long paragraph. Some paragraphs are not as long. Except next one is. Next one is. The third one is very short. Okay, thank you so much for learning me. You want to share your reflections or where this?
I want to say something.
Yeah.
I bought for you
You bought?
an interview with Rabbi Y.Y.
Oh,
Jacobson, and
about?
just about things going on. He's here in Israel all the time since October the 7th.
Yeah.
And he writes here, I think another major lesson is, I think that we have to tell the world that God, the creator of the world, gave one piece of land to Abraham, even if they don't care. The fact that they know that the Jewish people believe it, that's powerful. So he's just saying that
That's the first Rashi. We have to know it.
yeah, we have to know, and we can bring down, not argue.
Not argue,
and
not
believe
argue.
all of these nice illusions, but we have
You don't
to
argue it. You just have to know. You have to be convinced of the Tov and just live by it. And that's the biggest argument. It'll have its ripple effect, and it'll vibrate. And as long as we don't get, each individual of us, we don't get confused.
I am afraid for us not knowing who the Jewish people is.
Right.
We don't understand our power.
Right. Right. Right.
Shilek.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Which brings to the question of how, Rav Kook says, yes, so the way to fight this is to know, we have to know
Yeah.
what is good and true, and then we can fight against this
And
seemingly good and true and holy
Yeah.
and well-meaning and everything. But
And
when we're all down, so where are we getting that caution to say we all have different?
we're not all down. Because we're not all down. There are enough of us that, and there's Emunat Chachamim and Tzaddikim, they're speaking a different language and they don't fall into this.
Like why?
Like why? Like us.
Yeah.
Like us too. Like let's just give ourselves credit. You know, and I would say Rov Am and Am Yisrael in terms of this war. Don't listen to the news of we have Arutz 14. Like there's one channel of all the array of channels that we can go to that actually says it like it is. And the Rov Am know that it's that what the media is feeding us, it's the fluff of liberal language that just wants to that is being used in the as a tool in the hands of the Ra, using flowery language of liberalism and nice sounding words. What is this? There's one of our soldiers was held in questioning because he killed, and they used the language of Rotzeh. He killed a terrorist on October 7th. What is even coming to play? How is that even a news item? How does it even happen?
Sheker.
It's just so messed up. It's like so messed up. But the Rov Am is not confused. It's not confused. It's not we're all. So we'll keep coming and learning Rav Kook, and we'll do all the beautiful things that Shevach is doing, and in our personal life where the lines are really confused. We're not always aware of up until here on Tov, and if I say this extra word, I've already slipped into beyond the line of good and into the bad, and we always have to check in with ourselves. Is the next thing I'm about to do, am I still maintaining myself in the realm of good or bad? And that's every individual with their relationships, if it's with food or with people, or how we interact with the world. It's always a relationship, and always ask ourselves, where am I? What's at the kernel of it? What's the seed of it? What's the ratzon here ultimately that wants to be expressed? It is an ego. Is it the ratzon atzmi, or is it going to bring me closer to Hashem by seizing and desisting and swallowing it and frustrating myself because I really want to do that and I'm not going to do that? And that's a more tricky thing when we do it individually.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking about. So is Rav Kook going to be giving us tools for how to get to that voice of voices?
I mean, it's through Hitbonenut. I don't know, because I'm telling you, I'm like, it's a chavruta that we're doing. I'm not really preparing heavily on this before. I don't know what's in this shmona kvatzim. But certainly our sources give us tools. I gave a session on Hitbonenut. You have to bring everything to Bina. You have to bring everything in check. How is this sitting? Where is this coming from? A person has to know themselves. They have to get a sense of putting the finger on the pulse of their own life, and it's therapeutic work on self. And sometimes you need to do it with others. Hitbodedut can help you, speaking to a good friend about you, speaking to yourself, taking the time and saying, okay, I have this desire, I have this need. Where's this coming from? Is it from a childhood wound that it's time for me to really deal with and stop being triggered by it, and coming to a place of response, of choice from an adult, from a response-able place, to be responsible from a response-able place. I'm able to respond in a different way than my patterns of thinking behavior have led me. We do this thing a lot in Shabbat in all our classes, especially with me. I'm into it. Our parsha is like tikkun healing and parsha. So it's all over our sources. And Rav Kook also deals with it. But if Shmona Kvatzim deals with it, we'll see what he does.
Yeah,
Miss
can I
Latisha.
just say,
Yeah.
What came to mind?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Is the lust that the Israelites had for meat. When they were in the desert and wanting, even though that their needs were being met with the man.
Yeah.
They still wanted meat, and it to me reflected the ego of wanting to have flesh like in your mouth.
Absolutely.
And
They
so-
wanted the sensual experience of it. It was too much spirituality.
It's-
And they didn't want to let go of the appetite.
Yes.
Physical appetite, rooted in ego. You're right.
And with that, Hashem said, if you only were lovesick for me, if
Right.
you only saw me,
Right.
you would not have had this desire for
Right.
anything else.
Because then that satisfies everything. Baruch, thank you for bringing that. So I'm going to end off with a tefillah. Yehi Ratzon, we should be lovesick for Hashem, and in all of our dealings, we should want to be to know to identify. Hashem should give us the clarity to identify the next second. What we're about to do is it giving expression to our lovesickness for Hashem, of just wanting to be close to Him and manifesting Him through our life and actualizing that potential within our own selves, or chas v'chalila would be taking away from us, and to not go for it. B'ezrat Hashem, we should have that clarity, and we should bring forth all of the good and the light. And in that way, this is what we do. This is how we end the paragraph, girding our self, this is a milchemet Hashem, of girding ourselves with strength, not to allow the evil of ego and disconnected appetite from Hashem to rest in the realm of the tzaddikim, which should be. B'ezrat Hashem. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, too.